Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. How you guys doing tonight? Yeah, it's only as cold as it feels. I'm Dan Macchiarini, and I'm also a board member of the North Beach Business Association, and we are the main sponsors of First Fridays. And a little history. First Fridays in North Beach goes back to 2007 and has been a continuous event in this neighborhood since then. We predate Oakland, we predate Las Vegas, we predate Reno, we predate all of the other folks who have put together First Fridays since us. As you know, North Beach is known for its innovation, and so First Fridays was something we also created as galleries in this neighborhood before anyone else did it. And there's a whole story behind that I'll read about later this year. But I want to talk a little bit about our legacy. We are in our 75th year as a continuous metal arts production studio and gallery for modernist design, and we're the oldest one in the United States. So to celebrate the 75th year, I want to read a small, short story that I wrote, and it was in our mail newsletter that I'm sending out to everyone. So some of you may have already seen this. But we'll begin at the beginning. In the fall of 1948, Peter Macchiarini, my father, opened his first combined production studio and gallery in San Francisco's North Beach at 1415 Grant Avenue. The combined production studio and public gallery, which he used to create and show his handcrafted modernist sculpture and jewelry. Since the early 1930s, Peter had production studios all over North Beach, but none were combined with a storefront gallery. Up to this point, my father had shown at art festivals and shows in order to sell his work, because traditional art galleries and museum institutions did nothing to promote modernist jewelry. They considered it craft work, unworthy of artistic consideration. In holding this negative view, the traditional galleries and museum forced modernist metal artists like my father to reinvent a way to promote their work using storefronts to display and sell their creations before the public. These kinds of production studios and galleries opened mainly in 4 areas of the country and became significant parts of what eventually was identified as mid-century modernism, specifically in the visual arts movement. There were some significant galleries in the Midwest as well as the Southwest, but mainly the heart of the metal arts production studios and galleries lived in San Francisco and New York, in particular San Francisco's North Beach, as well as New York's Greenwich Village. Saw an explosion of these types of storefront gallery production studios. These studios became accessible art centers, inspiring participation of people in a way that went way beyond them being just consumers. The New York scene featured metal artists such as Alexander Calder, Sam and Carol Kramer, Paul Lobel, African-American artist Art Smith, Latino artist Frank Rabajas. On the West Coast, San Francisco's metal artists were led by, and this is important since we're celebrating Women's Month, Margaret DePata. She actually mentored my father, Peter Macchiarini, who also became a leader, while including leading women metal artists such as Betty Cook, Irina Brenner, Mary Rink. Together, these artists also formed the Bay Area Metal Arts Guild in 1954. Throughout the following 6 decades, my father persisted in doing individually handcrafted jewelry and metalwork. He moved to several locations on Upper Grant Avenue until his passing in July of 2001. 3 months before his death, my father's eyes failed, preventing him from continuing his visual metalwork. He also suffered from an eating disability and developed the inability to swallow properly when eating, which caused food to sometimes enter his lungs. Several times I had to take my father to the hospital to have his lungs pumped out and cleared. The last time I did this, he said to me, "Dan, I don't want to do this anymore. Please take me to hospice," which I did. While still in the hospital, the nurse came in and took his arm in her hand, began to take his pulse. And my father looked at her and turned her arm over, revealing her wedding ring. My father had made this ring for her over 30 years ago. The nurse asked, "Peter, is that you?" With the most amazing smile of contentment on his face, he said, "Yes." My father told me later that this was his legacy, that he had done his life's work making his creations for people like her. What is legacy? A legacy is the trail you leave behind for others to follow. It's the lives of the people that you change while you were on the earth. Most people consider presidents and other historical figures as having a legacy, but my father has a legacy, one that isn't weakened or forgiven by time, but instead fortified by the years. Not only in the production gallery studio he started, his legacy is still alive today in our production studio gallery at 1544 Grant. His legacy also lives on the hands and the bodies of those who display his wearable sculpture, jewelry, as well as through his standing sculptures and other artworks he did throughout his life. And in this end is the beginning story of Macchiarini Legacy. Throughout the rest of this year, the Macchiarini Legacy will be featured in these monthly email newsletters leading up to September, which will be the actual month that Peter opened the first production studio gallery 75 years ago. So with that, I will turn this over to our magnificent poets, Jessica and our magnificent poets, and bring them forward to read their great works. Because not only during the mid-century period was there a burst of poetry and poets with the Beats and the Bohemians, but also there was a burst of art in general on these streets. These streets here, you could rent a storefront like this for probably what would be the equivalent of $300 a month. And there were no rules against the artists living as well as working in their production studios. So these three blocks in particular became a magnificent showcase of the mid-century period of modernism. Jessica, it's all yours.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, as usual, for coming to North Beach First Friday. We are celebrating International Women's Day and International Women's Month. We have some great poets coming up. Thank you to Dan Macchiarini and Macchiarini Creative Design, as usual. Thank you to my friend Colin for videotaping this reading series for Alcatraz Radio. And thank you to David Zise, always, for doing a great job with the sound. Anyhow, celebrating International Women's Day, I'm going to read a poem that I really only read once a year. And it's usually on International Women's Day. It's called What Girls Do. Girls get stillborn into thin air. They come out of vaginas wishing that they were not one. They want to play with trucks instead of dolls. They want to be boys. When girls get older, the boys start to treat them bad, call them stupid bitches, pull their hair, but girls like to get drunk, smoke pot, play guitar like Jimi Hendrix, skip school, and hang out on Avenue C, hop freight trains to upstate New York. So they keep hanging out with boys. Girls get held down by their necks and fucked by ex-boyfriends who break in the bedroom windows when the morning is still dark and try to suffocate them, and then they forget about it the next day for 2 years and suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder for 20. That's a funny typo that I just found in this new little chapbook. Instead, it says, and suffer from post-traumatic streets for 20. But anyhow, girls get knocked up and have vacuums stuck up their cunts, or they drink abortifacient teas and bleed. Girls are just receptacles for men's waste, containers for sperm, salted with hatred. Girls can't fuck without feeling something like boys can, even if they are blocking it out, because things always move around inside. Girls spend their lives preparing for emotional emergencies and pretend that they are Clint Eastwood, but people are always telling them to smile. Girls get abducted into pickup trucks in Loisaida by guys that want to take them to Brooklyn and dump them dead into the East River. There's no lock on the passenger door, so she escapes, pretends to let him beat her up, lands on her knees in the pouring rain in the middle of Canal Street at 5 a.m. Girls get followed by groups of men in cars when they're walking home at night and have men threaten to rip them open with a knife, starting at the neck, slicing all the way down. Girls knock them out with wine glasses. That's what girls do. And girls in Rwanda get tied to trees by all four limbs, and their sons are forced to rape them, facing the barrel of a soldier's rifle. Their children are starving and no one cares. That's what girls do. They know that the world is not for them. Sometimes they know the world is not for anything at all. So, here's a different one. Zebra bloog me, press my face in kiwi. Carnival, tentacle, rhinoceros fat. Dig me, pluck me, suck me out. Pink tangerine, my pussy pop, slick cheetah on a stick, white coconut flavored jism bug, take a little lick. Let me lick your gumdrop. Eat me, move me, make me, wet my mound of grass. And this is called Road Trip to Joshua Tree. We drove out of San Francisco on a foggy, hungover morning, leaving the sinking Millennium and the erecting Salesforce behind for the warmth of desert sun and seasonal flower bloom. We don't stop till Bakersfield, the birthplace of Buck Owens, Merle Haggard, Dwight Yoakam, smoke-filled honky-tonk sounds from Dust Bowl Okie descendants. Mama tried to raise me better. There's a dusty man at the bottom of the exit ramp panhandling. He holds a cardboard sign that says anything at all. Mama tried. We get gas and 2 donuts and get back on the road, plowing through the Central Valley, asparagus, apricot, alfalfa, arugula, big lots of figs and nuts. That's why the fruit fell. The greening of America, roadside farm stands, Mexican workers in tinted window pickup trucks, hot tamales, tomatoes, GMO corn. There are too many flags and campaign signs for Trump on tin roof shacks on the side of the highway, and a statue of a dinosaur by the tin roof shacks on the side of the highway. We cruise through the national park. Straight away when we get there, only a few red blooming cactuses, some buttercups. It's windy. The dead Joshua trees on the ground are skeletons, but Mama tried. There are 2 black caterpillars, a butterfly. I eat a bologna sandwich and get scolded for walking off on my own. We'd had our fill of nature, went to the hotel surrounded by an asphalt parking lot and a pool that overlooked the asphalt parking lot. We drink wine in rickety lawn chairs, watch a mourning dove and her baby on a wire. He was sitting in the shade. I was blinded by the light. The born-again hall next door has a picture of Jesus that says, Jesus saves. We go into town where a man on a wall drinks a bottle in a bag, asking for money for another. You got a quarter toward a drink? Then he asks my friend, you're Indian, ain't you? Aren't we all? Who do you run into in the desert? Flies buzz around his head. We get back in the car and follow the signs for a yard sale down a washboard road. More tin roof shacks. Keep following the signs. Turn right, turn left. Jesus saves. Turn right, turn left. Jesus saves. Turn right, turn left. Real garage stuffs, kids' bikes, cast iron pots and pans, rusty watches, a red wheelbarrow I can depend on. Later, he will tell me your dwarfed feminine domestic skills are ridiculous. On the way out the next day, there's a dead coyote on the side of the road, more flies, tin roof shacks, Jesus saves. We stop in San Miguel for the night, the only restaurant, a Mexican joint, closed at 8. Life outside the big city. I get drunk in the hotel parking lot full of migrant workers and talk on my phone. Connor, the antique dealer, is dead. Jack Mueller is dying. We need to eat fried chicken, but we go to the old mission to smell the red roses by the old wine press and notice the anti-abortion sign in the bushes. Jesus saves, it says. Mama tried. I'll take anything, anything at all. Okay, I'm done. Next, please welcome Jeanne Powell.
Thank you for coming out. Just one thing I need to make clear. Keep your laws off my body. A few haiku to warm up. Untamed lavender, deep in the Persian mountains, tempting you to pray. Organic love, free of all known toxicity, except the wanting. Life experience. You can take it to the bank, not easy money. Correction, that was haiku and Sinru, or maybe all Sinru. I forgot to look. All right. Look, I don't know how I got here. Some celestial contract in the Akashic records, or a spacecraft ran out of fuel, whatever. There may have been some colossal misunderstanding back in the day, an angst-ridden war among the gods. One minute we are progressing on a picture-perfect planet, and the next millennium or two we are at each other's throats in constant mesmerizing warfare. I'm telling you, I honestly don't know how I got here. And about those 5-year plans and 10-year plans, do you seriously believe I ever thought about either option? I'm here by accident, remember? There was no grand design, at least none that I'm willing to recall. Did my planet disintegrate like Krypton? Or my magical island disappear into the mists when faith took a holiday? I'm the lady of the lake without my Avalon, or the last temple priestess after the collapse of Atlantis. How on earth do you expect me to plan for tomorrow? It's too noisy here. Too many people with no room for dignified retreats where you wander alone on an icy, wind-swept shore. Babies are crying for lost mothers. Mothers are crying for disappeared children. Women are widowed for profit, and the old are without wisdom. Look, I didn't bargain for any of this. As a matter of fact, I may not have been allowed to bargain at all. Some bearded guy holding tablets written in stone, an oracle or two from a cave in Greece. Will I ever get a recount of any votes? An appeal to a higher court? The noise of tomorrow is here today, and I need earplugs and a game plan and a witness. Can I get a witness? All right, thank you. I could use a good witness. Thank you so much. For those of you who are writing memoir is hard. You knock on doors nobody wants to open. Let the past stay past. Under padlock and leafy moss blankets, you knock on those windows with tiny panes. Memory won't let you in there out of pity. Too rough on your consciousness. Emotions likely to rile up and stomp. Writing memoir is hard. You have to go really slow. Walk along dusty pathways with a watering can. Stop to take in deeply notched leaves. Hear the sighing of tree branches in the wind as they recall close cousins cut down. You go home and chant as candles glow. You hold jars of beets your grandma canned. Caress earrings, blue and silver, your mother left before she walked away. And that brown radio in an antique store, just like the one your dad listened to. You stand and whisper to it. Close your eyes and imagine. Simply imagine where he might be buried. Writing memoir is hard. A gray stone library beckons and you climb its winding staircase with urgency. At least you did before the plague years. You stroll along the shelves and touch book spines. When one touches you back, you open and read. Memories slip from printed pages, rifle through your curls, nestle in your crimson scarf. Close to the bay, you walk the Embarcadero. Ancestors float in, waving from fishing boats 1,000 miles from Great Lakes territory. You recall fish fries, lamps hung from trees, and laughter lighting up sundown shadows. The tide goes out before they hook a place in your memory. On public transit, electric bus, and metro car, people parade past, and you inspect for that trace of yesterday others find in family Bibles and albums bulging with photos, posed and candid. A stranger smiles and greets you by your birth name, unknown out here on the West Coast. What are the archangels trying to tell you? Start with the little girl first. You know, the one with long braids on the cover of February Voices. Find her again. Won't be easy, but gain her trust and the cadences will emerge, will outshine manufactured dreams, break through your silence. This memory business is hard, but where else are you to go? Okay, I like my neighborhood. I've been there 20 years. And then suddenly there were these people moving into my neighborhood who othered me. So this is my revenge. In my city, walking along my streets looking like the visitor you are, you give me that look that says you are questioning my credentials, my authenticity, my right to be here in my city. Walking in my direction, you suddenly notice my golden brown roundness and show all those attitudes, entertain all those postures, grabbing your purse and holding it close in as I walk past you. Let me tell you something. All the while you brush past me wearing African jewelry and cornrow braids, a touch of blackness in fashion where you come from, while you clutch your designer knockoff, making me unwelcome in my own hood when I walk by on my sidewalk. Let me tell you something. You clearly cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is fake. So listen up real good, wench. If I wanted to, I could remove your fake face and paste it on that designer knockoff, but since no part of you is real, why should I bother? This is for Oscar Grant at the Fruitvale BART station a few years ago. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Did you know before today a bullet fired in disdain, callous indifference into a young father's back as he lies face down on harsh cement will power through, race through his body prone, bounce off the pavement cold, and splash back into vital organs like the heart and spirit and soul, leaving no room for compromise, explanation, or forgiveness, no time to say goodbye to his lovely baby daughter? But you know now. Of thee I sing. Okay, for people in the crowd with silver hair. She woke up somewhere in her 5th decade and decided to start treating herself right. A hard struggle it was, yanking permission from the many judges holding forth. Evicting them took effort, but she did it, heaving to with pitchfork and fire. Now she could eat chocolate as a right and buy a latte every day, damn the expense. Wrap mother of pearl around her wrist and dangle seductive earrings from her lobes. Order custom arch supports and drape long silk scarves around her golden brown neck. Wear a lipstick carnelian in color, sporting the name Toast of New York. Easy to understand this alluring defiance. She carries a poem in her eyes. And I think I have time. One more. Okay. One more, and coming home one night late. No, this one. A writing prayer. I write the way I pray, sporadically, and with the mind of a skeptic. I know she is there, in there, out here, in the golden flowers drooping between tree branches, in shadows dancing on air currents. Her eye is on the sparrow, and I fear she sees me too well, this muse, forgiving mother of us all. And yet taskmaster stirring the pot, admonishing us to measure up, toughen up to our greatness, inherit at birth. For we poets are the chosen ones, and everything depends on that sunbeam gracing the flight pattern of a honeybee and the cloud cover aiding the journey of a snow leopard. For we poets are the chosen ones, as surely as a red-tailed hawk dives from a mountain to a forest of feasting. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanne Powell, once again. And next, please welcome K.R. Morrison.
Jessica, thank you for having me. Always thank you for having me. Special, integral month. Here we go. This is called The Hourglass. I found a pile of women trapped in an hourglass, covered in man prints. Down they tumble into an abyss of bickering with other capital, battling the same oppressor, countless grains of lunacy made of moon mud, scarlet from too many laws, 245 years of collateral blood. I found a pile of women trapped in an hourglass, covered in his conquests, choking down the other direction. A greasy glass tunnel lined in nails, dead witches, decapitated freedom fighters, revolutionaries stuffed with lies and bullets. Down into red, white, and blue whirlpool they go, met by fire torches and nooses, swinging in sour winds. To create breath, to conjure release, the pile of women lace their fingers into the calloused hands of whipped and tired men. Down from southern branches, now hung next to him, her uterus and tangles of snakes from her fire-seething head. I found a pile of women trapped in an hourglass, covered in him, his man prints. Time is up. There's no more land to waste, Gaia says. Master changes his tools and tactics, but the outcome is still piles of us, lost in our assaults, trapped in his man prints, in his hourglass we are suffocating. Time to see that in our differences, our feet, they bleed the same. Are y'all awake? Are you cold? Hopefully you have wine or coffee or something to warm you up. This is called Submit. There's a dead version of me who craves you. Your calloused hand choking my neck. Spit in my mouth you demand. The burn of a bite arousing me wet. Tears and teeth tearing my moon flesh. That wounded girl is gone. I burned her alive at sea, sent her into dark moon shadows, hungry for a hawk moth rising. Kiss me with your strongest parts, without fractured bones of your own boy wounds. Peel off these ghosts, hold me where my secrets show. Scarlet fire graffiti branded in lady caves deep inside of me. I am a mess of avalanches. Breathe your oak tree arms into me. If you want a bite to taste all of me, swallow my tears. My landmines are gone. Do not ask for my consent to hurt me. All right, I wrote one not toward those who identify as men here tonight, but to the patriarchy. So this is a warning. He's lucky we don't breed a new species. Amazon armies of freedom fighters released from gender. He's lucky we don't wage our wombs into weapons, a deep siege. He's lucky we don't declare a scumgirl war against his bloody systems. Atames at his throat of red and blue two parties. Lady swords made of placenta blades. He's lucky we don't ignite Bridget's match, burn down his traditions, emblaze his godless churches, hunt the patriarchy, women fire of furious wombs. He's lucky this is just a poem, one woman's prayer. May every word conjure our resistance, divine warriors procreating. Our fight back to decide. Wow, that was kind of a killer at the end there. That's it, poem. All right, this one's about to come out on an anthology about our bodies and our right to decide what to do with them. It's called Choices. There's a 17-year-old who whispers from my skin. She reminds me there's another dimension, a parallel universe where I am trapped in an existence constructed by boxes due to a different choice. I would have never found me in this alternative. I never help floods of students with orphaned hearts and angry spirits. I never sit behind a drum set. Writing music and poems are two relentless ghosts graffitiing songs and rhythms on the walls of my throat. I never breed a book. And that family curse finds its way into another wounded child's bones. There's a 12-year-old boy who visits me when I quiet my mind, when I invite my ancestors, the other side. He thanks me for sparing him an abuser for a father, tells my guides to tell me there's nothing to forgive. It doesn't work that way. He is free from the sour inheritance of mentally unstable parents. Just then, my body interrupts us. My sacral parts remind me how in choosing I found and rescued me. Then I think of the student I saved from suicide during that time. She's alive because I wasn't on maternity leave. I got more? Oh, am I done? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was great, though. K.R. Morrison once again. And next, please welcome Clara Tsu, who is the director of the Clarion Arts Center, right next door in Chinatown.
March is my birth month, so I'd like to read my birthday poem. And in this poem, there are different things that were created on that particular day. Sorry. So maybe you could figure out which day I was born on. Okay. You silly putty. What would Michelangelo think if he saw you drooping through a hole and glowing in the dark? Would he rather play with you and bounce you down the street than sculpt marble? Any child would. If we forget the years and just crunch our birthdays together, me and Michelle and you would be an awesome trio growing up terrorizing the neighborhood, playing hide and seek until Michelle slips you into David's fist. Only the Beatles have the good sense to write a song about our union. Let it be, they sing. Let us be me, Michelle, and silly putty. Let us run down the bridges of Florence for a swirl of gelato. And of course, the townspeople in their old-fashioned way won't understand any of this, but will roll their eyes and cross their hearts. Okay, thank you. And I'd like to read a couple relationship poems. Under a tree, in the bright full moon, stands the old man under the moon. He does his job and he does it well, quietly without cymbals or bell. A ball of red string he holds in his hands to tie lovers with all over the land. Joe's toe is bound to Mei Ying's finger across time and space, a fate finder. I watch as he pairs the short and the tall, some with teeth and some none at all. But when I ask, well, what about mine? The old man under the moon tucks on a line. It comes up empty on the other side. Someone has escaped or gone with the tide. I look at him and he looks at me. Well then, I said, that leaves you and me. Okay, this is the second relationship poem. The snake said, your relationship is a sham, and your notion of romance is unrealistic. You want men to recite poetry while making love to you. But there will never be another in this world who will love you more than I. There, the snake rolls away a tear and moves very close to the woman. Sensing her yielding body, it bites down with its dentures. The snake is intrigued by the woman's arms, long and graceful. They take the snake's length, twist, and turn it into a pretzel. The twisting makes the snake salivate profusely. It gives the woman certain pleasure. She winds the snake around her neck. It coils artfully. The woman looks into the mirror. It matches poorly with her outfit. With one fling, she throws the snake out of the window. Thank you. Okay. Pieces. Tumbling downstairs, neck broken, but in fact, the symmetry is gone. What is seen through Mercury is not the inside imaginable. Don't go there, he said. Of course, that's exactly where I go. Little thing with silver bells. The food he places on the table have been cooked into mush, into unidentifiable, sickly green, gray, fermented, 1,000-year-old unreality jittering down slope. The sugar in my empty stomach heightens the sense of desperation. Yellowkin, the man-eating giant in metallic armor, brushes my shoulder, ready to bump me off before Christmas. Ironic to think I die for my father for buying egg custards. It's a mistake to be wearing miniskirt in this windy, cold night. The gag, the gasp, the sickness that is make one strong. Locker said, we must wrestle with Duende. Thank you. And it's way too cold, so I'm just gonna end with this one poem. And I have to say, this happened in a restaurant. It really did. Indifference. Indifference is like dog shit smeared on a cobblestone street. While the pooper scooper, shaped like an eyebrow tweezer, is designed for urbanites to have mastered picking up wontons with a pair of chopsticks, which the man does quite successfully, with his stiff arm held out like a robot lifting a wet, slippery cloud from the soup bowl. But like a Woody Allen movie, the cloud falls into the soy sauce dish, and the splash is like the birth of Zarathustra. Surprise, surprise, and needless to say, his yellow silk tie is wet like overcooked fettuccine drenched in brown Mexican mole. Although the man would really prefer salsa verde, that is very much like glistening algae in a dead water pond. They have a drink that is made from the juice of spinach, but the lady at the next table is suspicious of its color. It's like drinking poison that has been brewed by Snow White's evil stepmother, she tells her friend, who associates colors with things that make up her psyche, and like the rabbit that is stranded in the moon, there is no escape. So black is like the deep gurgle when met by laughter, and white is like the open face of a flower, and blue is like someone who thinks silence is scary, and red is like murder on the Orient Express. The man is indifferent to the mess in front of him and continues like there's no end to the fireworks. One doesn't worry about wet socks. You roll them in a towel and step on it, and the same trick may be applied to underwear like pigs in blankets. Who can tell good meat from bad meat when it is pounded and grounded and stuffed into the gut like a lady in her silk stockings? The point is, it's a quick trick, like having a quickie in a hotel room, like a fine movement after lots of wheat bran, and hell like the pooper scooper that can pick up and go, pick up and go. Thank you. Thank you. I want to make an announcement that I work at Clarion Performing Arts Center in Chinatown. It's on Waverly and Sacramento. And we just started to have a monthly poetry reading series, and it is on the third Saturday of the month. So you are all welcome to come. Thank you.
And we will now close out the evening with some beautiful music by Canyon Songs.
Let's see how that sounds. How's that? Can you hear me? Hey, everyone. Thanks for being out here in the cold tonight. Appreciate it. So, the Honorable Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, when asked what humans can do about climate change, he replied, he said, listen to the earth crying. He said, listen to her crying. what hasn't been discovered in these walls, what hasn't been overturned or revisited, beyond the bounds of our despair. Look around, listen to the sounds, a holler's whisper, luminescent colors. I can hear your voice when you're crying. When you cry, I cry. When you die, I die. Mother Nature. Question your hate. This is home to you. Laws crying like rain, guns on parade. Can we see beyond this shackled country? Can we see beyond ourselves? Look around, listen to the sounds, a holler's whisper, a mother's daughter, luminescent colors. Thank you. Just gonna play 2 songs, and here's our last one.
The last one.
The song's about being true to yourself, even when people are bringing you down. Gotta be true to ourselves, right? Don't give it all away. The sun shines down on you. Be what you are. Be what you are. Speak from the right side of your mouth. No resistance at all. Opals I see. How to be a friend. Let it end. Let it end. In the place where I've got what it takes. It's well understood you ain't no good. Let it all fade to black. Opals I see. Opals I see. Opals I see. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Canyon Songs. That was very, very beautiful. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you to all of the readers and each and every one of you in the audience. And walk down the street, dig the music at 101 Music Church Key up there on Grant and Green. And hopefully we will see you next month for the April First Friday.